Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RevOps Demos That Don't Suck. I am your co-host, Matthew Valm, CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op, a global community of 15,000 plus members from all over the globe who are passionate about revenue operations. And with this demo series, we do what you heard in the title. We take demos of some of the leading revenue technology products that are out there, that are on the cutting edge, that are innovating in the space, so that you can get a sense for the tool, the solution, and the ways that it can potentially help you before you engage with the company and ultimately enter into a potential sales cycle. And so today I am with Vlad Voskresensky, who is the CEO and co-founder over at Revenue Grid. Revenue Grid is an AI guided selling platform, but I'm going to let Vlad ultimately tell us more about that. But Vlad, why don't you first tell us a little bit more about yourself and then the company as well, and then we can get into it from there, and I'll start peppering you with questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. My background is very interesting. I'm a software developer by education, but have been in sales industry for more than 20 years, if you would. One may call me a CRM veteran. We've been developing tools for sales automation starting from 2004, 2005. And many things were done, but I have to say that there are still a lot of challenges in sales force automation which are not solved. And I think as vendors, we should be ashamed around that. But I see a lot of vendors are focusing on solving those issues. And I'm happy to tell you that we are leading that mob, if you would, and happy to share and demo the functionality our platform provides.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you and the company have been around for a while, right? Like you said, early 2000s. And so I guess maybe my first question for you, and this can kind of lead into the problem that you all are solving, but I always like to ask the founders these questions of what made you decide to start the company and ultimately go out and tackle this particular problem that you all are tackling today.
It's a cool question because the answer to that, I'm sure you're going to love it. We were trying to solve our internal problem.
Yep.
So back then, 2004, 2005, Salesforce is still young, or the IPO company, but still relatively young and very innovative vendor with cloud revolution and with everything. So we've adopted Salesforce internally for the company, which myself and my partner would run back then. It was software outsourcing business. So we would adopt Salesforce and we would talk to our salespeople in the pipeline room. And the question was very simple. Hey guys, how it happens that we've bought a Salesforce for you, and then we still know more from talking to you rather than looking in Salesforce and seeing what's going on. And
Yeah.
sales reps were very direct with us. That answer is not surprising today. Back then, it was relatively surprising for us. They told, "Hey Vlad, let's be honest. You didn't buy Salesforce for us. You've bought that for yourself. You want to see the reportings, you want to see the status, you want to have a feeling that you drive the business. But for us, a CRM doesn't help to sell. We are selling on the phone, we're selling on the field, we're moving the needle somewhere else, and then you expect us to go back to the office, log into Salesforce, and report to you through the logging all of the activities and the progress, so then you would know. And this is that's why we're not really using this. And we would scratch our head and ask them, like, okay, then what would be the perfect CRM for you guys? And they were very direct with us. They told us that the best CRM would be an invisible CRM for us. When you guys, top management, Vlad and Konstantin, you can get your reports you're looking for, but we salespeople do not bother with entering things manually, reporting things manually, etc. So we would be like, okay, and what that could be in practice? And they told us that they live in Microsoft Outlook. They have email conversations, they have calendar, etc. And this is where the majority of conversations are happening. So we've started our company with a product which would connect Microsoft Outlook with Salesforce. That was our very first one, and it was the inception and the birthday of the company, which is today called Revenue Grid. But the first name of the company was Invisible CRM. We wanted to build Invisible CRM. And long journey, we evolved to the platform which would work with vendors like Salesforce, because not only we've built an Outlook plugin for Salesforce, but we've built a platform which can connect to personal communications like Office 365 or Outlook or Gmail or even IBM Notes back then. on one end, and on the other hand, we could connect to business automation tools, primarily CRM, obviously. So we would work with vendors, and we started to partner with Oracle, with SAP, with Microsoft, with Deltek, with many vendors of CRM systems, helping them to be close to communication channels like Inbox and Calendar. And that for a long time was our journey, if you would. Interesting things happened later on because we've realized that just an activity capture is not solving the problem. And yet today, I couldn't even envision a CRM which is being implemented at the customer side without proper activity capture. People should not enter data manually. People were not born for that. There are enough automation tools which are able to do that for them. Obviously, means of communication expanded, not only inbox and calendar, but also call recordings, chats, maybe text messages. Everything needs to be tracked, and those activities can be captured to CRM. But staying just at that level is not enough because what we really need out of those activities, we need knowledge, we need facts on which we can rely, and then we need to make decisions on top of that. That's how we were part of evolution of revenue intelligence market, and last 6 to 7 years, Invisible CRM evolved into the revenue intelligence tool from just an activity capture tool, and we even changed our name. We dropped Invisible CRM as our brand, and we became Revenue Grid. Very interesting things are happening in the last couple of years, where with the evolution, or I would say revolution of generative AI, more powerful tools became feasible, if you would. So my personal, very simplified definition of revenue intelligence would be a tool which exists next to CRM, connects to the data in CRM and outside of CRM, crunches that data, and gives you more insights. Gives you a forecasting scenario, gives you what your team is doing, a type of analytics, gives you maybe some nudges, what you have to be doing or not, giving you insights, advices. But advice is still not a fully automated action. The next step on top of that would be a system which is not only advising you what to do, but can do actual things for you. And today we see this, we see the big movement on the market with AI-driven agents, or as we love to call them internally, assistants. I actually like assistant more than agent because agent to some people may sound like this is something which takes jobs out of people.
Yeah.
And takes their paychecks and takes their, like, they're not needed anymore. I don't think this way. We think that people need automated assistants which are helping them to do simple routines, leaving time for people to do smarter things, to make decisions and to move forward. So since then, we've added the AI layer processor on top of our platform. And not only we capture the data, not only we extract real facts out of it, not only we provide you with insights, but our task in our platform, in our product, is to try to do things for you automatically, whatever it may mean. So that's my elevator pitch, if you would.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the thing that I hear from a lot of founders that have gone on to build successful companies and products is they all get started, or most of them get started doing what you did, which is solving a problem for yourself, because there's no greater pain point that you can understand than one that you are living and breathing every single day. And so you kind of brought us through the evolution of Revenue Grid into kind of its current state today. And so I think one, you have a couple of visuals maybe to pull up to start talking about like the problem that you all are attacking specifically for kind of RevOps folks and what the solution looks like. And so let's go there next. And then after that, I've got some questions on what the product specifically looks like.
Yeah, let's do that. Happy to share my screen. Yeah, so I would not go through a lot of slides. I hate slides, but just a couple set the stage, if you would. So this pyramid, the one I've just talked to, but that's to me the evolution of sales automation tools, which are targeted to increase sales velocity. Everything starts with a proper activity capture. Without relying on real data, on proper activities, any projections, any insights would be just fake.
Yeah.
Just impossible. So everything starts with proper activity capture. And then, as I've mentioned, extraction of knowledge is important because just the fact that we've moved an email from inbox to the activity in CRM means nothing. Someone needs to reread this activity to be able to understand what's going on. So modern tools should be able to extract knowledge out of it. And then based on the knowledge and the facts which are extracted from activities, vendors, including ourselves, are building revenue intelligence layer. And then on top of that, what became possible just recently, those AI-driven sales assistants or agents. That's pretty much the architecture of our platform as we speak. We call ourselves today Revenue Action Platform because we truly believe that those actions is the focus. And then if we talk about particular jobs, what could be done, that slide may look busy, excuse me for this, but the whole idea of that is the assistants we're building internally, which are based on activity capture, are actually targeting a particular function which sales reps or sales managers are having, and they are doing this routinely repeatable manner, and they should not be doing that if it's routinely repeatable. AI should automate that. For example, the challenge of forecasting, the challenge of pipeline cleansing, the challenge of generating more leads, the challenge of discovering and researching more data about your prospects, and yada, yada, yada. You may name a lot of those, and we truly believe that each particular challenge may be targeted with AI-driven assistant, which is properly built, which is being human-like, which is also being very customer-specific, so it understands the specifics of the company, what is our ACP, what's our sales process, what products we're selling, etc., and then acts accordingly. Today, we bring to the market obviously the power of activity capture and the power of revenue intelligence, which is forecasting scenario, sales engagement scenario. But then we built those AI-driven sales assistants, and I want to demo to you today two of those, which is pipeline assistant and meeting assistant. With that, if no more questions, I'll just jump to the demo and show you how it works.
Yeah, let's do it. I want to see what y'all have on those two fronts because I can see how those would help a ton for any sales team, and then obviously like any operator who's supporting them as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. And I'll be demoing from two user experience. One would be Revenue Grid embedded into Salesforce CRM. It's one of the CRM we support, being CRM agnostic. And the other part of the demo, I'll just demonstrate from the Revenue Grid user experience, just to highlight that both are possible. Yeah. You can meld us into a CRM experience, or you can use the standalone.
Awesome.
Okay, with that, let me jump to Salesforce first. And I believe that this view is very known for everyone. This is how opportunities list would see in Salesforce. With Revenue Grid, what happens is we take exact same pipeline, but we enrich it with the data which is not necessarily in CRM. Okay, so we would index what's going on in inbox and calendar, in chat messages, or maybe on meeting recordings. And we are enriching the data on opportunities with this one, showing you just more insights in a standard opportunity view. That's not yet an automation, but there are already a lot of insights. On this screen, I can see the mix of the standard fields of CRM, in my case it's Salesforce, which is what's the account, what's the stage, what's the age of it, etc., blended with the real statistics of what real interactions were between us as a company and them. How many meetings, how many calls, inbound emails, outbound emails. And again, it's not what it's being reported to Salesforce. It's what was indexed in Exchange or Gmail or whatever the company is using. Last touch, next touch, planet, etc. So there are already a lot of insights on the opportunity itself. Now, I will jump to a product which we call Pipeline Assistant, which is helping people to work with that pipeline. Okay, and how does it help in particular? Before I jump to the UI, that's the UI, by the way, where you can see pretty much all of the same opportunities, but they are enriched with some of the opinions on those, and I'll talk about those. So the whole sense of AI-driven pipeline assistant is to be an assistant to both sales leader and sales reps, because they are talking on those pipeline meetings, and eliminate a discovery stage on our pipeline calls or on our forecast calls when rep is reporting to a manager what's really going on. And only then manager starts coaching or making some decisions or going to the next steps. Now, that all could be done by AI, and that's exactly what AI-driven pipeline assistant does here. Same pipeline, as we can see, but we do challenge automatically a couple of things out of the opportunities we have in the pipeline. Thing number one, is this opportunity even real? Or maybe we should lost it and forget about that. And if I scroll through this, I believe, yeah, this one, for example, out of the pipeline is predicted to be lost I may
Yeah.
agree or disagree. If I'm agreeing with that should be lost, it will just automatically go back to CRM and close lost it. This is it. It takes it out of
Mhm.
our plate. We don't focus on this. It's a huge time saver because I can bet my money that there's a lot of BS in the pipeline of pretty much any company, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
all know people are creating those placeholders, people are forgetting about those opportunities, and we see big pipeline like that one is 1.7. In reality, no, your real one is only under a million, right? Something needs to
Yeah.
be close lost, something is being pushed out. So after the first question, what's real, what's not, the second comes, okay, if the opportunity is not worth to be closed, lost, and forgotten, will it close in time and will it close with the amount which is in CRM? Those two simple questions. And these are the examples of it. For example, on that particular deal, the system, the AI assistant, supposes that the deal is on track, it's going to be closed in time, and it always tells you why. So if I can click on that field, and I can, let me move zoom out of my demo screen. So here I can see why the system thinks this way, and any insight, any prediction, any fact which Revenue Grid provides has a source which is able to drill down to. We can
Hmm.
really drill down to why the system thinks this way and where those facts are all coming from. So that's a very high level prediction. Deal is on track. Now, if I will scroll down and take a look at, I don't know, let's pick this one. So the system suggests that even though the deal is valid, it has no chance to be closed by December 30 and better to be pushed to the next quarter, right? Let's read why. Client is actively engaged and scheduled the POC. However, considering the similar deal's duration and the POC and everything, it's unlikely to close within current fiscal period. Now,
Hmm.
so that happens before the pipeline meeting. It happens automatically. It gives a chance to me as a leader and Femi as an account exec to talk about that. He may, before the meeting, disagree or agree with the prediction. If there is a disagreement, then you can provide the reason and system would learn out of it and next time will be smarter. But at least we have something to talk about because there's a very valid concern. Now, if I dive deeper into that, pipeline assistant gives me a little bit more value than just providing me with the summarization of it. First of all, there is always a status update. Status update is being run periodically, say weekly basis. If the pipeline is weekly, you may run it more frequently. And in the status update, there are facts which are being extracted from what was going on in CRM and outside of CRM, which are telling me as a manager what's really going on with the deal. So I should not interrogate Femi and I should not reread all of his emails or activities or notes to know what's really going on. Okay? So that's one value. Now, if I want to
Hmm.
drill down to the activities, they're all here. They're all represented here on the timeline. I can scroll through those activities, reread them all, but I have no need. I can really read just the update, and that's how do I know. So the automation here is that we really eliminate part of tasks which are typically happening in the pipeline room. And also, a very nice perk in AI-driven pipeline assistant is it has always up-to-date full summary on opportunity. So, say if you are my board member, you don't know any details, and I need to tell you what's really going on and what's the story of those guys, I can just share with you the full summary, which is being generated on top of the data in CRM and beyond, and has it all with the timestamp of a day of a fact, and it's being grouped into the what was the interest, the roadblocks, what was the evaluation, who do we compete with, yada yada yada. So just rereading this, you don't need anything else, but you know what's going on. Kind of a
Yeah.
perk of our pipeline assistant. With this, I'll pause on AI-driven pipeline assistant before I jump to the demo of a meetings assistant. But let me know if you have any questions or want to dive deeper.
No, so you mentioned one, I can see again, like thinking about how a lot of these things previously were done manually, and it's part of the reason why something like forecasting and kind of pipeline management can be so painful and time intensive. So you mentioned, I guess, just a couple of things. So one, obviously, we looked at the revenue grid view. We saw the same view available in Salesforce. So it sounds like you can do
Yep.
either or. And then you also mentioned CRM agnostic. Sounds like integrations outside of Salesforce with the most common CRMs that folks would expect, like what HubSpot, Dynamics, what are some of those other?
Exactly.
integrations.
So we do support SAP C4C because it's our OEM partner. We do support Microsoft Dynamics. We do support all Oracle CRMs because it's also historical OEM partner of us. So all major, I wouldn't say old
Yeah.
school, but the giant CRM providers are obviously there. And then, yeah, pretty much any CRM which has an API, and it's hard to envision for me CRM which doesn't have an API these days, we can connect to and support because we are CRM agnostic tool. Yeah.
And then one more question on this stuff. So there's a lot of talk, obviously, like with AI, it being as good as the data that it's based on. So once someone were to connect Revenue Grid to their CRM,
Yep.
are all of these predictions based on the historical data sets captive within that particular instance that you're integrating with? Or how does the model and the prediction kind of
It's
work? And
actually
like how
smarter.
quickly
Hmm.
yeah, and like how quickly, for example, would people be able to see this the minute like that things get connected, or does the model need to go through
Got it.
some sort of activity?
Got it. Okay, it's interesting. Let me jump back to Salesforce for a sec, and I actually even have this opportunity open. So very standard opportunity look and feel, right? And here you have the activity timeline. Again, very
Yep.
standard Salesforce activity timeline, but it's full of all of those activities which we have captured into the Salesforce.
Mhm.
Mainly, it was auto captured. So we auto capture all of those, and you see it goes like back into the timeline till pretty much whatever. Now, Revenue Grid UI may even show you all of those activity trends represented in a nicer view. But here's the point. When you just connect Revenue Grid to your environment, first thing we do, we also ask you to connect your means of communications, say Microsoft Office or Gmail infrastructure. And then what we do, we look back in all of the emails, inbound, outbound, all of the calendar invites in the inbox of people who are connected, in the email infrastructure of people who are connected, and we index all of those, populating CRM with the data first. So here I can actually go down to the history of the opportunity and see all of the things which were happening from first touch and who was it to maybe some things which were changed in CRM. That was the moment on November 1st when the amount was changed, etc. But here I
Hmm.
can drill down to pretty much all of the interactions which were going on. I clicked at the particular date. This is the particular email which was exchanged between us and them at that date. I wasn't copied, but right now it's being fetched directly from Exchange, and I will be able to see the whole email thread right here as soon as it's loaded right here. Me not involved, but people were changing anyway. Now, what I'm telling you all that is that the capturing of a data happens within a matter of hours after you're being connected to our infrastructure. And we populate CRM with the data, stepping back historically as long as you need that. Typically, it depends on the average size of a deal. If the deal is a couple of months, stepping back for 4, 6 would make it. If
Hmm.
it's longer, then we would step back longer. Now, once we index all of those activities, this becomes our base for further facts extraction and predictions. So within a couple of hours, you will see the activities populated. Within next a day maximum, you will see the predictions start to be generated on top of the emails or any other activities which we can fetch and the data which we immediately see in CRM, say Salesforce. So then the UI of a pipeline assistant will be filled out with those predictions and status updates and full summaries.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then so you said, okay, so this was the pipeline assistant, and I think you
Yep.
said there's one more
I wanted them
you want
one
to show
more
us.
assistant for you. It's again from the set of those assistants which we're bringing to the market. Assistant is being called meeting AI driven assistant or meeting assistant. Why meeting assistant? It's an interesting conceptual conversation. If you would, I may even go bold and say that the real opportunities we have are not the opportunities in CRM, but the meetings in our calendar, because people are selling through those meetings, and that's the real opportunity to communicate with potential client and sell him something.
Yeah.
But the problem, though, is that very often people do not really behave with those meetings like with the real opportunities. If you want to really behave it in the correct way, you have to be prepping for the meeting, conducting this in the right way. And when I say right way, it's how it helps to move my deal through the pipeline. What exactly we're discussing on this meeting and how it's being helped to move the deal to closed won status. And then evaluate the meeting in terms of what action items we have to take out of it and what the main points we've discussed. So it should get into the history, which is meeting minutes and post
Hmm.
this into the CRM, right? So those three tasks, prepping, conducting the meeting and doing the summaries, and then evaluating the meeting was what we felt is missing from CRM automation, and people have to do it manually all the time. So that's why we came up with the Meetings Master. And the idea of this is very easy. It's connecting to the calendars of your users, your people, reads all of the calendar. Some meetings may be internal, some meetings may be external. So by the attendees of the meetings, we are able to understand if it's anyhow related to your Salesforce data, because if there are people on the call which are being an opportunity role in some opportunities or just by domain
Yeah.
belong to the account you're selling to, that's a nice catch. So this one is a demo and intro call from some folks, from Garrett and Jeremy. A tool would automatically detect this opportunity, 720 opportunity partnership with ISV. And then the first step which would do, it would give you a memo before the meeting. Say, I have this meeting in my calendar, I'm attending that one. The memo would do the following. It's a mix of the data which is coming from our internal systems, say CRM, and external sources. Google search, LinkedIn, maybe social media, etc. So the first part is about the company, who are we even talking to? What do they do? Where they're located? Maybe there are some social media updates just recently, so it gives us more points to engage. The next section in memo would be similar information about attendees. Who is Garrett? Who is Jeremy? Where they're located, what's their interest, maybe recent publications or social posts, etc. Again, it helps us to better understand who we're talking to. Now, more interesting, meeting objectives. Meeting objectives are AI-generated part, which is driven by the status of opportunity, by our playbooks, by our best cases, and because this op is in a very early stage, then the objective would be to demo and maybe collect their
Yeah.
use cases, pain points, etc. Should it be negotiation or something like that, later stages, it would be in there. Anyway, it even suggests me some preliminary agenda. I may or may not really stick to that, but this is it, and even potential script. So that even helps me with some of the case studies I may bring on a meeting, which are our case studies from our CRM, from our storage. Now, with this, I'm more armed for the meeting. Then I go to the meeting, and if the meeting is being recorded, I'm scrolling all the way up. If the meeting is being recorded, then we would generate a summary. And one may say, oh, one more summary. Everybody is generating summary. So here's the thing about that. We had to generate summaries on our own because for the need of pipeline assistant, for the need of evaluating the deal, we felt that the standard summaries from Zoom, from Teams, from whatever tools are not enough. They are not giving us those salesy facts on which we can really predict the deal, will it close or not, and evaluate the meeting. So what we're doing right now, we are connecting to Teams, to Zoom, to Google Presence, and we collect the existing transcripts, and we're doing our own summary, which is very sales oriented and assumes the specifics of every company. Your playbook, your average deal size, your discounts policy, like pretty much everything which we may know about your company. So that one summary is a real summary on the real meeting, who was present, who behaved how on the meeting, and then what was discussed, the interest and product needs from a vendor, from a prospect, competitors, if any, if we're facing anything, budgeting details, deal roadblocks. All of those groups were dynamically created because of the sense of a meeting, if you would. If the meeting would be about something else, there would be different groups. But this is our goal, was to create something in a summary which sales rep or someone who was in a meeting will just copy and post it to CRM as a summary or send it to those people who need to share it. And that's exactly what we've done. The summary does exactly this. And then the last but not least step is evaluation. So evaluation is the following: a summary on a summary, a very short sense what that meeting was about. Then any competitors mentioned. Then it's very tunable. What we have done in this case, because we entertain internally the value-based selling approach, we've injected that section which evaluates the meeting towards value-based selling framework and puts some marks and does some recommendations. You may use this, you may stick to some other methods, you may have any other insights in evaluation of a meeting, whatever is important for your sales process. But this is the golden part, action items from the call. So these are the all action items which were discussed anyhow, from simple one to more complex one. And these are the real one. Femi to demonstrate setup and integration process for Jeremy, or verify if there is yada, 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 right? So all of those things which were anyhow mentioned on the call are here, and they could be converted to tasks either in CRM or any other task management system. That's pretty much it. As a spoiler on action items, what we are working on internally, and I think it's super cool once it's been released, we want not to auto-open tasks, but we also want to be able to auto-close the tasks. Because I truly believe that any task tracking system becomes a graveyard of incompleted tasks at some point. And since we know and see all of the communications, if Femi was to demonstrate the setup and integration process, and then we see the meeting which was happening and which was about that, why don't we just auto close it? Same about here, and it's coming. That I think I'm going to pause right here and stop my demo of a meetings assistant. If you have any questions, happy to.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. So you mentioned so integrations to all the normal, I guess all the normal places. We talked about the CRM. So are you integrating then directly with Calendar and Teams and Zoom and all those other places in order to capture the meeting data?
Yeah, it all starts with the calendar. So the first thing, we have to connect to your calendar. Would you run on G Suite or in Exchange or Office 365? We connect to the calendar to understand the appointments itself. Now, once we can read the appointment, then we would like to have access to the transcript, not even a recording, but to the transcript. There are two ways of getting us an access to your transcripts. Either you log in or provide us with the credentials to your Zoom infrastructure or Teams infrastructure or Google Meet, or you may utilize an agent from us which will dial in, like Fireflies does it, some other vendors are doing this. It's the dial-in agent which just records the call on the background, transcribes this to text, and then out of the text we do the summary.
Yeah, cool. And I asked some questions about the kind of initial CRM connection and some of the integrations you have and how quickly you're able to start generating some of these insights. So on the topic of kind of implementation and getting started, what does a typical timeline look like? How long does it typically take for someone to say like, yep, let's get rolling to the time when the product's in their hands and they're able to use it?
Few things. Short answer, from a matter of minutes to maybe a couple of days or maximum a month if you really want to tune the product and you want our involvement. Why in a matter of minutes? Because you can go and download the product from our website or from Microsoft Store, or if it's Salesforce from App Exchange, and enable users by logging with credentials to Salesforce and credentials to Outlook. Boom, the magic will happen next second. Now, it's going to happen in out-of-the-box settings. So if you have any custom fields or custom records and you want us to mean this and mind that and connect to that, we would need to have some customization applied to the system. That customization may take from hours to days. Important thing is that it's all included into the price of a software, so we never charge for the rollout help. It's as easy as click-through experience, and some of the RevOps or especially CRM admin folks are willing to do it themselves, and they completely are able doing this with just our knowledge base. But if client wants us to do that, we would do that. It's a click-through experience of tuning custom fields, custom records, custom specifics, setting maybe a timeline how long we go back in our history to capture the activities. What fields are important for our pipeline analysis? Do we use standard value from opportunity, or we have TCV, ACV, LTV type of fields which are also important? This type of thing, right? So we would set it up and then once it's being connected, the activities are being captured nearly immediately. It just goes back in the history, and within a matter of hours, the activities are there. Now, the processing, the digesting will take a few days, and the data is in there, but some clients would do the following. They would roll out for a small group of people, say 10, 15 folks, run it for a couple of weeks, collect their feedback, and then up-tune the product, saying that we don't need that field, but we better expose this, et cetera, et cetera. We would help them with up-customizing the product, and then they do a global rollout. That's the maximum longest period, and from the decision of let's do it until we have it across the company, it could be a month.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you all offer some implementation support, or there's the potential for the RevOps or SalesOps person to actually be doing the setup themselves, leveraging, like you said, the knowledge base and articles and support documentation.
The knowledge base is very rich, and we provide the implementation services, which, as I've said, they're included into the price. So if you need it, you get it. But yeah.
And can you give, for some folks out there who are maybe watching or looking at this, can you give some names of kind of current customers? Who's a good fit for the product or solution of Revenue Grid?
Got it. Yes. Overall answer is that any company which runs CRM needs to have something like this. I truly believe that's the case. Now, obviously, there are customer profile versus anybody else. We do have customers which are multi-thousand seats deployments and giants like Robert Half or Baxter or Morgan Stanley, and even by those names, you feel that it goes through the industries. But we also have a few people shop which is running Revenue Grid as well. I would say that the best value out of Revenue Grid starts when the visibility within sales org becomes blurred, meaning that we have two,
Mm.
three levels of reporting when we have sales reps, line managers, and then top managers. It's already that situation when the knowledge, the data is being somehow perverted, if you would, on the flow, right? So
Yeah.
here where you really need a tool like Revenue Grid, and this is where Revenue Grid opens the best. So that's pretty much it. And again, it's cross industry and it's cross vertical, if you would. There are obviously a lot of specifics. For example, we have legal automation companies which are using our software and they don't think opportunities or leads. They think cases and matters. But the sense of communication and sense of extracting the data out of it is still the same. Yes, they do not
Yeah.
validate the opportunity. We do not predict will they win or lose the case.
Yeah.
But data extraction, activity capture, and everything is as applicable as in sales process. So that gives you ability to fluctuate. But obviously, the canonic use case is the typical B2B sales process, which is going in pretty much any sales methodology, and where the org chart of sales org is more than 2, 3 layers and above. This is where it really helps a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense because every new layer or grid or node in the grid, if you will, is just one more opportunity for information to get filtered through.
Exactly.
And that produces complexity, it's prone to error, manual work. And yeah, you add two or three of those and you've got a
Exactly.
mess.
Exactly. And then what happens, you also, the magnitude of effort you have to apply to keep the clearance through all of those grids, it's a progression. Because
Yeah,
like two people talking or 10 people are talking. And
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
super hard to make sure that the information is not being changed from the source of it up until the knowledge on top of which you make a decision. And that's the beauty of tools like Revenue Grid is that with our AI assistant, and with our facts, which we're talking about, you can always drill down to the source. So if you see that, oh, the deal is being delayed because of the POC, you may drill down to where it was discussed and how. And was my account exec pushy enough to push the POC earlier, or maybe shorten it because Thanksgiving is coming or
yeah.
Christmas is coming, and maybe instead of 2 weeks of POC, we can do 1 week. So you can drill down to the initial conversation pretty much anytime, and that's golden.
Yeah. And what's I guess two more questions for you. And this first one might be more challenging for you given that you're a CEO and co-founder of the company. So you got to pick one, just one thing that differentiates Revenue Grid from other competitive products or just the status quo of maybe not doing anything or trying to get away with spreadsheets or your existing manual processes. What would it be? What's the one thing that puts Revenue Grid on top?
Oh, that's a good question. Just one. I would say that we are the best on the market, which are understanding that CRM in the end is just system of records, but it needs to be system of actions. And everything we do has a final action in the end of the use case, which we're trying to automate, treating CRM as a database.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that mindset, that DNA, a big differentiator between us and many other vendors.
Yeah. Makes sense. And too, because if you can see how if you don't take that mindset or approach, right, maybe you stop with just surfacing an insight or a number or like providing some sort of KPI, but then not doing
But then what?
the not
What
yeah,
what do I do
not
with that?
answering yeah, exactly, not answering the so what. So yeah, I like that. And then you mentioned a little bit before about folks being able to like download from like the App Exchange and elsewhere. How can people get started? Do you have some sort of like free trial, try before you
Yep.
buy? Can folks just go out there and self-serve, give this a shot, or what's the best way for them to
They
test it
can
out?
self-serve easily. It's either downloadable from our website through download button or Microsoft Office Store or Salesforce App Exchange if it's for Salesforce. The best way would be obviously sign up for a demo. We'll demo the tool, we'll answer a ton of questions, and we'll help through the trial process because, yeah, free trial is applicable and we provide it and super happy to help customers to try before they buy.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, my friend Vlad, thank you very much for running us through that. The product looks awesome. I can see how valuable it would be for any revenue teams out there and also any revenue operator supporting. those teams. So thank you, my friend. For everyone out there, go check out Revenue Grid online. The Revenue Grid crew is also in the community in our Slack group throughout, so you can hit them up and ask them any questions that you want. They are there to help. But Vlad, thank you very much, my friend. That's all I got for you. So I appreciate you living up to the really high bar of a demo that did not suck. You got my stamp of approval, my friend. So thank
Thank
you.
you, Matt. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thanks much.